Hello, good morning. My name is Sriramya Nair. I'm an assistant professor at Cornell University. This work was done with Monique Kennedy, who's a postdoc in my group, and also with Sasha Zivkovic, who's an assistant professor in architecture, along with his students Lawson and John. Okay, so this is the outline for my talk. Today I'm going to be talking about the work that we've done using the large-scale 3D printer that's shown over here with X3 system. I'm going to talk about the materials and the mixture design that we developed to use with this system, the design and concept, the printing that we did with the gyroids, mechanical testing, and conclusions. So we have an ABB robot with a 12.8 foot reach. And along with this, we have a X3 system where you can see there's the pump in the back. So it's a flowable mix that you can place into the pump. And then it goes through this black hose. And then it comes through this extrusion head. And so this is called the X head. So we also have a Mortimer mixer to mix large quantities. That's the green color one in the back. And then we can do mixing volumes of 50 liters. And these are objects that we printed during our training. So the mix that we used for the training was a bagged mix that came from Europe, but in our case, we wanted to develop our own mix design that we could use in the lab and something that I actually knew the water to cement ratio to. So we developed our own mix, which has a water to cement ratio of 0.35. Our paste volume is 52%, and we have SCMs about 30%. And we have to sieve our sand because the maximum particle size that we can pump with the system is 2 millimeters. So all this is extremely time consuming. And because, as I said, we have a pumpable mix, we have a pump through which we can pump this material. We adjust the high range water reducer to achieve a flow diameter of about 17 centimeters. So an accelerator gets injected at the nozzle in here in the X3 system, and the amount of accelerator can be adjusted based on like the stiffness of the material that's coming out in real time, and it's anywhere between like 8 to 12 ml per liter of concrete. So for this mix that we've developed, our compressive strength is 10,800 psi, and our flexural 28-day flexural strength is 800 psi. So what you see over here is actually steps that we printed to access our mixing station. It's been a few months now. They're actually, holding pretty well. And as you can see in this one, what we have is we have a continuous tool path for one single layer, and we are printing the same layer over and over again till we reach the desired height of the structural element, per se, that you're printing. And the same concept was also applied for this arch that was printed over here. So we have a toolpath that's designed, and then we follow the same toolpath over and over again. You're stacking the layers. And this is an arch that was designed by students in the course that I taught last semester in fall on sustainability and automation. So they got to design their own mix, which was quite similar to the other mix that I showed you in the other slide. If you deviate much from the paste volume, it's very highly possible you lose your hoses. So there's not that much room in like optimizing your mix in terms of what is pumpable. So for the carbon footprint, we know that the paste volume is what is the main contributor to the greenhouse gas emissions. As I said, you really can't reduce the paste content significantly, otherwise you cannot pump the material. So the high paste volume is needed. So then one could say that the carbon footprint of a 3D printing mix is really high. Then how can you make it more sustainable? So the path is that 3D printing enables printing of different shapes. And so shape optimization can be used to reduce our carbon footprint. And then the two-part system that we have where the accelerator gets injected in the end, it offers more freedom for quickly and consistently printing free-form structures. So in our case, in the previous two examples that I showed you, we were only printing right on top of each other. So we weren't really pushing the limits of what is feasible. So we wanted to see if we could print other shapes, for example, gyroids. And you could ask why a gyroid? A gyroid because it efficiently distributes high compressive loads in all directions. So instead of just stacking the layers, we wanted to, for the shape of a wall, for example, we wanted to see if you could fill it with gyroids. And so what is the challenge? The challenge is that can you effectively print steep cantilevers? So if you see at this end of the gyroid, you could see how it has to be able to print cantilevers. So you're not just stacking a layer on top of each other, but you're printing an angle. And then the benefits of this would be that for the lower amount of volume of concrete that you need, you can carry the same load, and thus you're reducing the overall carbon footprint of your system. So this is how we designed our gyroid. You draw 2D lines, 2D shapes, and then you extrude them, and then you transform them, and you make these surfaces. And these surfaces are actually, gyroids are also high surface, and this high surface is what really is interesting for biological applications, and that's where this becomes like bio-inspired. So this becomes the gyroid unit, and then you repeat them until you create the structure that you want. So in this system, when you stack them, you have to stack them in such a way that you can create continuous toolpaths. So the system that we have, you have to have a continuous toolpath. And you can see over here, when you take the cross-section at A or at C, we are actually printing in opposite perpendicular directions in very short distances. So we are really pushing the limits of what is it that we could print, and really different than what we've printed in the past. So we conducted density limitation tests. So for these gyroids that we have, we printed 3 different geometries. So this is the steepest cantilever. So the way to think of it is that each gyroid unit is further apart. That means that you have more spaces that are created in between. So that means your amount of concrete you need is low. And then we went higher and higher angles. So the 45 degrees should be the hardest to print. 63 degrees should be the easiest to print, because you can see the overhang in 45 is higher. So for the 45-degree print, as you can see over here, we were actually able to print it really well. Like during printing, we expected it to collapse, but it did not collapse. It did extremely well. But this is on one side of the cube. But then if you look on the other side over here at these corners, you can assume that it's like a collapse, but it's more like a toolpath. So toolpath design plays a really significant role in the type of structures you can print, because we started and stopped at the same point. So it didn't have enough stiffness to carry the weight of the next layers. So toolpath plays a significant role. And then after a few hours of printing at the 45-degree angle, we did see cracking in this section over here. So 45-degree angle, I would say, is still too steep with the systems that we have right now. The 56 and 63 degrees are printed without any challenges. It was completely fine. So we're still able to print a significant angle for these gyroids with so many open spaces inside. So because we are not architects, we are engineers, we like testing them. So we tested it, and then we tested it under compression. And you can see that it carried about 270 kips, which is the weight capacity to weight ratio is about 900, which is significantly high. It's taken quite a bit of load compared to the weight of the entire structure. So the conclusions are that we've used the bicomponent X3 system, but we've developed our own in-house mix, which has significant compressive strength. It's a good material, and we've developed a continuous toolpath for printing gyroids. We've conducted density tests where we've shown that we have like feasible overhang angles of 56 degrees and 63 degrees. And with the capacity of the 900, the capacity to weight ratio, the way to see it is, instead of using 3D printing just for the formwork, you could actually see this as increasing the structural capacity of the wall by designing the gyroid systems, because they can take a significant structural load that's being transmitted to the system itself. So there is a lot more that we can be doing with these systems, and we are excited to be pushing the boundaries of what we can print with these systems in our lab. So that's the group, and that's right after we printed the cube. So thank you.